Great, sure. So Nick Hugh, I'm the CEO. I guess the in terms of the description, does what it says on the tin as such. It's the I joined here around 14, 15 months ago, so beginning of last year. Before that, spent 8 years at Yahoo, and before that, a selection of media and tech companies. I am officially a digital veteran, but I'm enjoying the opportunity to work across media these days. Wow, I mean, it's a great question because it feels it's almost easier to answer what hasn't changed. The but at the heart of our business obviously sits quality journalism. A lot of my role is to make sure that we give that the freedom to continue to prosper and grow as it has done and build on the successes that we've had over the last 160 plus years. And so there's obviously a lot of continuity in that, and Chris Evans and team are doing a great job. The what I've tried to spend a lot of time reworking is like really fleshing out our strategy and ensuring that across each of the divisions um, we're well aligned and executing against that strategy. I guess it's worth saying as we come to the end of the first quarter, it's been an exemplary quarter, like much better than I thought it would do, and we're actually ahead of every single metric. Now, one quarter a trend does not make, but a strong quarter it was. The best thing about predictions is they can never be right. You just have to hope that you beat them as opposed to miss them. But when I said earlier, it's been a great quarter. We did say as business we think we'll get to 3 million. We have targeted. We needed to get to 1.4 million by, well, I guess by tomorrow. So by by the end of March, as of today, I guess if I look over there, we are at 1.61 million. So we're comfortably a few points ahead. So we're doing very well. I remain supremely optimistic that we'll get to 3 million. It gets harder and harder as the months go on, but we've got so many of our best minds working. So there's been some great work on the journalism side, and I mean, there's so many examples. It's almost unfair to pick out individual ones, but we've seen some real spikes as some of the great stories and articles come out. You see tremendous spikes, so it shows you it's a great currency to understand the value of journalism, and because we track it every day, and you can see what it looks like by article, you can see the role that journalism plays in that. And then there have also been some fundamental product changes that have also help drive us there. To me, the most encouraging thing is everyone has it as one overarching goal, and I'm seeing it more and more. It's the first thing that people are thinking about, which is exactly where we want it to be. There's no doubt that social media, but the wider web has been a very challenging, um, a very significant challenge to the business model of the what formerly were just newspapers, um, and I'd argue it took probably too long for the newspapers to realise how to try to respond to that type of threat. The thing today is that everyone recognises the inherent changes that there have been, and everyone recognises the need to think reader or consumer first, and that is forcing a much greater level of action than I've seen in the past. The social side of it, I mean, that's fascinating, right? The All the changes we've seen in the last, all the pressures that we've seen on Google, but on Google and Facebook over the last year and a half, but really particularly on Facebook over the last few months, the impact of regulation coming their way, the rise of fake news. And in many ways, the rise in the understanding of fake news is actually helpful for our business because it reinforces and highlights the trust that people have got in our brand. And the association of quality journalism and trust is something that we have to keep front and center to everything that we do. So I believe the two will coexist. No doubt the tech brands have some challenges coming their way, and I think we're well placed to prosper from that, and I'd say the overall sentiment towards the Telegraph and other news brands has really, really picked up in the last 9, 12 months, and that's great news for us. So, and this has been one of the things that's been top of my mind right since I took over as CEO. I mean, without repeating everything I said back at the town hall, like, I do think that it's the essential thing to do for society and for our business, and I don't believe we can be successful if we don't. It is more than unfortunate. I mean, the word I used was unacceptable that we are in the position today. But the fact is that we are in that position. Or when I say today, I actually mean April 2017. Those are the numbers that we reported, which obviously predates my time there. So I'm trying not to look back too much. I'm trying to look forward and say this is about equality of opportunity, giving everyone the opportunity to be able to rise through the ranks without preference to one gender and thing of that type. The reason it's going to take a while is because it's not an equal pay, because it's a gender pay, i.e., that where the cause is you've got many fewer senior women or many fewer women in the senior ranks than you do men. What we have to do as a business is try and ensure that we've got the right opportunities for people to rise through, i.e., promotions and so forth. By definition, that takes multiple years. The obviously the number that we'll be announcing in anywhere in the next few months will be that we've reduced it down to what we forecast to be 28%. So that's sizable improvement, but to continue that is going to take us a good few years. I guess there are 3 points that I wanted people to remember, and it's been interesting looking at some of the feedback both internally and externally. The first is it was 35% in April of 2017, and that is unacceptable. The second is we've managed to remove 1/5, and that's good progress. And the third is we'll get to 2025. Sorry, we'll get to 0% by 2025. And I think it's worth people knowing I'm the only media CEO that's committed to complete parity. Not a single other media organisation has done. Obviously, there's been a lot of chatter about the fact that our numbers are higher than anyone else in the media sector. But I'm trying to get us all to look forward and say this goal of 2025 is something that the business as a whole has to deliver. So I think so firstly, equality. I mean, everything that I said about gender can be broadened into diversity as a whole. But as we transform our business, and we do have to transform our business, we have to realize that our audience is diverse, and as such, our workforce has to be representative. As we look for new business models and strive to achieve some of the ambitions that we have around those new business models, we need a wider breadth of opinions and ideas, and that's not going to come from that's not going to come exclusively from the typical segments of the population, but it will come from a much wider, more diverse population. That's why I think it's so important to our future. So from an employment perspective, I mean, yes, there are definitely areas of the population that we would like to address more. I mean, there's obviously some where we're well known, others less so. Part of the way that we'll do that is ensuring that our suite of products from the consumer perspective, whilst remaining true to our brand, are broad in their appeal. But yes, for sure. I mean, some of what we did on the apprenticeship program, where we did it with blind CVs, etc. We've opened ourselves up to new avenues, and I think we've only started to what's the word? We've only really started to. We're at the very beginning of that. I think there's a lot more that we can do and will do. There's a much greater pool of talent that we can hire from, and one of the responsibilities that Sulu will be helping us work through is like, how do we tap into other pools from a recruitment perspective. So, I mean, news and politics is obviously our bread and butter is probably the wrong word, but is at the very core, as is sport, and luxury lifestyle, travel, and financial services. We're so well known for, and we have such a good position in the market that those five areas are we have such existing strengths that for any news organization, focus on those areas is essential. And so we really must continue to make sure that we double down in those areas, continue to invest in them, and really make sure that we continue to beat the market. And then technology intelligence. I mean, the area of technology as a whole is one that I think is very underserved in the UK. It's one that we can definitely do a great job on. And it's also a very neat culmination of our strategy, in that our strategy, which is obviously technology dependent, is from a commercial perspective, there's a lot of interest in technology clearly as well, and then from a societal perspective, there's an enormous amount in there. So it's like the perfect area for us to go into, and I don't think we could have been any better help than launching it at the same time that the Cambridge Analytica story broke as well. So the first one, so I think there's probably three things. The first one is that we continue to be the showcase for quality journalism and are recognised across the country, but also globally. So that's what I'd say is number one. Number two is that we are known to be the news brand that has the model that is most sustainable into the future, and that we've really cracked that. We've really answered that question and have proven to the wider media globally how media businesses can prosper in the new world. And the third one is that we have a culture that is inclusive, diverse in the truest sense of the word, that is also not only rewarding but fun to work at for everyone as well. All right, thank you.